separate bills, and I'm not sure if they're amendable. If they're amendable and there's mischief on the House floor and the dollar numbers change and other baggage is added, it may be hard to reconcile them with the Senate bill. I'm hoping that alongside all of this, there may be some effort at a discharge petition to discharge the exact language of the Senate bill so it can also be voted on. I think it would be passed overwhelmingly, and then there would be no conference, and this would move to Biden immediately. So I'm not sure where this ends up. But the good news is, finally, Speaker Johnson figured out he needs to do the right thing, and he needs to understand that people are dying in Ukraine right now as we dither. So that's good. I also think Israel needs the aid, and obviously we have to send strong signals about defending Taiwan. One other point here that worries me, and that is this fourth bill. Where is that going? I think some aspects of it are fine, but some may be of concern. And finally, the border provisions are not included in the House bill. What an irony. Right. These are the border provisions that most members, Republican members of the House, want. So why are they leaving them out?
Well, that's why I'm getting confused, Jane, and I figure you can help me understand, because there was a bill, of course, that passed the Senate. It had everything that we're looking at here, plus an historic compromise between conservative Republicans, and I think we can call them centrist Democrats. Go ahead and call them liberals if you want, but my God, yep. Jim Langford was at the table here. Now, I know that the House wanted H.R. 2, but that probably wouldn't have worsened the situation at the border, right? So why, again, was this better than that?
Well, it isn't better than that. But what it is it's a way to try not to give President Biden any credit. It's doing the wrong thing so as not to give Biden any credit. And if that makes sense to you, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Sometimes I need to be pulled in off the ledge a little bit here. But Kailey, Jane
this is just happening. Let's salute.
We heard earlier.
Yeah.
I understand, but if you look at comments from J.D. Vance and others, even if this goes smoothly in the House, it could get complicated next door.
Yeah, especially it is the United States Senate we're talking about, where you need unanimous consent to do anything quickly, and there may be some who are very reluctant to allow things to happen in an expeditious manner. One of the issues, though, Jane, that J.D. Vance has raised is around repo, which is one of those things that may be in that fourth bill that you were alluding to, tied together with a bunch of other things, including the ban or divestiture bill of TikTok. On this idea of taking those frozen Russian assets and using it to help fund the war effort in Ukraine, is this something that is actually going to work in reality, knowing, frankly, it would need buy-in from other partners in all likelihood, since a lot of this is actually held on the continent of Europe?
Answer is no, it's not going to work without buy-in from Europe. Most of the seized assets are in Brussels. 5 billion or so, 3 to 5 billion is in the United States, which is not nearly enough money. And there is an argument, although some lawyers are defending using these seized assets now, there's an argument that it could be counterproductive and add to Ukraine's debt and mess up Ukraine's ability to leverage funds from the IMF and other places. There's another idea about just using interest on these assets, which apparently everybody would agree to, but I don't think it's enough money. At any rate, I'm fine with discussing this thing, and I'm fine with some of the other things in this additional package. But what I'm really wanting is the Senate-passed bill to be passed in the House so there's no conference, no more mischief, and Biden can sign it on Saturday night. Let's understand, as has been said before, these are the equipment that's going to Ukraine is ready to ship. It's produced in the U.S. The money that we're providing is paying for replenishment of that equipment. In fact, some of that equipment's in Europe. So Ukraine will get relief almost immediately. I was just there 2 weeks ago, and what I saw was Ukraine is able to produce low-cost drones, more advanced drones, tanks, etc., for its use. It's doing that now, but they don't have advanced anti-jamming equipment, and they don't have air cover. And those are the two things that will help them win the war and help their people from not die further and help them from shrinking the border. They are, as President Zelensky said to our press fairly recently, they're cutting the line, meaning they're reducing the area they're able to defend because they don't have 155 ammo. Imagine that. And they don't have the other things I just mentioned. It's shameful. And thank goodness Speaker Johnson has gotten the message.
Well, they're not going to show up anytime soon either. A lot of this stuff needs to be made still after the monies are allocated. Jane Harman, if you were still in Congress, would you vote to protect Mike Johnson?
Let's see what he does. I would vote to end the chaos. And that's the call of the Democrats who will have to save him if this ridiculous rules change agreed to by Kevin McCarthy stays in place. I would vote to change the House rules and go back to the old way of doing this, where it takes a majority in order to try to vacate the Speaker's office. I think this is insane. But what I'm saying is, it ain't over till it's over, and let's see if this goes smoothly this week, and let's see if they hold the Senate numbers, and let's see if there's a possibility of actually passing the Senate bill in the House through a discharge petition or some other procedural change. It's not what Johnson is recommending right now, but just maybe some Republicans will step up and help sign this discharge petition, and that will get legs, and that would save us all and save the Ukrainians from a lot more tragedy.
Jane, just given how difficult this effort was, considering this effort still is not over, knowing we're getting closer and closer to an election and there is no end in sight for this war between Ukraine and Russia, is this going to be the last opportunity for the U.S. to provide aid? Is this not going to only get harder as this conflict goes on?
It's going to get harder. And as the election season increases and the disinformation by Russia, which is influencing some members of Congress, increases, and Ukraine's position weakens. I can see an argument, well, they can't do it, so let's focus elsewhere. I think that is heinous and shameful, and let's understand that if Putin wins in Ukraine, he moves right on into Europe. He's basically said that. And it emboldens China with respect to Taiwan, and it emboldens Iran with respect to the Middle East, where it is not abiding by any rules. The world is as messy as it has ever been. U.S. leadership is needed more than ever. If Ronald Reagan were alive, he would be talking about just what I'm talking about, which